Hello. Let me turn all my phone volumes down. Are we live yet? Hello, beautiful sacred humans. Ooh, we are live. We're live. We're live. We're live. Good
Yay.
afternoon. Okay, I got the right sky. I had to go search through all my photographs to get the background photo.
Oh, I love it.
Well, I have learned with all these platforms I use, if you do a skinny vertical, they turn it this way.
Oh,
Come on.
you have the best. Oh my God. And I take a lot of photos. I know when you guys were talking about that last week, I was like, oh my God, I have so much stuff. And it's awesome.
Wait until you come play down here. This
I'm
is
going to have to buy a whole new extra memory card.
Hi Paisley. Yes, you will. Hi Paisley. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And LD. Already said hi to you. And nobody on there.
Yay.
So Gail and we get to hang out a lot together.
Me too. I love every
Really.
minute of it. We're having a blast.
We may be new as friends, but we're definitely sacred sisters, and I appreciate that. So thank you for coming and playing with me.
Absolutely. Oh my God, it's the best.
So welcome to, you know what I forgot? I forgot the book with the quote. Oh, well, I guess we're not doing a quote.
Oh, the book with the quote. Oh,
This is
no
what
quote for
happens
me.
when my whole house has been reconfigured
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
on its head.
Just have to do without it. I guess I could Google a poem and read that, but then I'd have to find it.
Well, maybe I can work on that while you're talking.
Okay, you do that. So I want to welcome everybody to this afternoon's Alchemical Wisdom with Gale from the beautiful website mysparkjourney.com, which I put up on the top, and I'll put in everything else when we're done. And it's so funny. I love doing this because it's like I know the people I'm interviewing for the most part, and then it's like, God, I've never read their website. I need to go and read everything. So that part, I have been educating myself doing these interviews. It's been fun, and I welcome people on my Facebook page and my YouTube page. And if you are so inclined to subscribe, thank you, thank you. And please go over to Gail's page and subscribe, which I will also link. Beverly caught a live show. Yes, welcome.
Oh,
Welcome, welcome. It's, I hope it lives up to its reputation, right? We've already forgotten the book. We're searching for a poem. At least I got the photograph I wanted for the background. We're good.
yes.
And I think while you're looking for the poem, hey, Everett, welcome. I am going to test the mic with some music. Ba-doop, 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 and change the camera. Doot. There you go. So, for those who have been following me on social media, you may know that my downstairs had a sewage blow up about 10 days ago. And me and the gongs and everything else are now upstairs. So this is actually the room that I had moved upstairs prior to all that happening. This is my healing room.
Oh,
And that massage table is a vibroacoustic sound table. Hey, Carly. And I had a client on there this morning who came up from Dallas. It was cool. So, you lay there and you have music strolling up and down your body from the underside, and then I've got speakers on top. So I
wow.
quickly converted it back into let's do music. So
Woo.
I know it's like I got to be able to redo it. So take a breath. And that painting up there at the head of the table, this one, back in the much younger days, I used to live in Southern California. I actually graduated high school in Oceanside because my dad was a Marine at Camp Pendleton. Did I set the sound correctly? I think so. And I worked at an airbrush shop in Encinitas, California, back in the days when you could hang out at the beach and there was no traffic. And Doug walked out of the back room with that painting and put it on the floor, and I sat down in front of it, and I did not surf. no matter how long I was in California. And that painting was the first time I understood why people surf, the energy that has been in it. And I have dragged that puppy around for, hey, 40 years now, 40 some odd years. So I always put that at the head of my massage table so we have water. So we're going to do some heart math. And I'm going to use a methodology that Greg Braden talked about the other day on one of his videos, which is something I always say: put your hand on your heart chakra or your heart area. And as you slow your breath down, if you can do it, breathe in for a 5 count and out for an 8 count. And if you can't do that, just breathe in shorter, then you breathe out in whatever cadence you choose. This and your hand on your heart slows down the mind chatter, drops you into your body, relaxes your shoulders, puts you in the position of witnessing what your mind is doing rather than participating. So just breathe. The first step in any healing in all alchemy is sacred breath. That is our sacred sound. And as you breathe, add to the mix gratitude or compassion. It's a beautiful feeling. It can be based on a memory or conjuring of the feeling. And it's in the heart. It's expanding the breath, expanding the lungs. And this kind of frequency regenerates your body. And then once you get that beautiful energy swirl, breathe from heart up into your head. Your heart frequency, the compassion, the gratitude is visiting the brain. That beautiful area that can hold chatter or stress or stories or brilliant ideas, psychic ability. And you're inviting your head to come play with you. Breathe this frequency of coherence, of harmony throughout your entire body, around your body, and if you have any extra, offer it up as a broadcast into the field, as a prayer for the highest good. And then pull yourself off the floor and come back into your room. Okay, hang on. We're going to change sound and echoes and all that fun stuff. Cameras. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ah,
Yay!
You all sound really good. Because, of course, I'm psychically reading everybody out in the audience, and that includes the future people that watch it. Thank you, Kathy. Welcome. Carly. It's so good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. So, I recruited a friend of mine that I know. Eliza, welcome. I know Gale because of Jen Lin, the infamous Sacred Sounds of Coffee co-conspirator that I have. We're drinking tea today. I have the cynical version of life.
Nice.
That's the really, unicorn version of life going today.
But I said we could just as easily switch, and all would be true.
Depends on the mood. So, tell me a little bit about what you want to share about who you are in the world.
Mm,
Just a little bit.
yeah, so I think a big part of what I'm doing here is just, it leads me back to one of the questions you used to ask on this about,
Mhm.
um, how do you see yourself? What do you see as your purpose, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
um, I think just to provide people space and grace to just kind of do what they need to do and be who they are, and don't feel judged, and don't feel, when I interact with anybody, I feel like, to provide that space of just grace and
Mhm.
openness,
Mhm. Mhm.
is something I always just have always done and always try to do with people. So that's one little piece of it, I guess.
Yeah. And for the people that haven't perused your website like I did earlier, you are a clinical social worker and
Yeah. Yes, a social
you
worker
work
and a
with
therapist.
kids.
Yeah. And adolescents, kids, not super young, but a lot of adolescents. It is not easy being an adolescent in this world. I can tell you that. It's a
Okay.
lot for these kids.
There are two of these in the world.
Yes.
Kathy bought one of these for her best friend who is a supervisor at a police department.
Mhm.
The dispatch center.
There you go.
See, we need a little Dr. Sheldon Cooper.
I love it.
I love that show. Yeah,
Yes,
I found these cups somewhere. Like, oh, I have to have one of those.
a must. Yep.
And we were talking before we went live. We all talk before and after we do the live thing. Where it's like, oh, we get to talk to each other. Yay! We were talking about the Tibetan bowls and autistic children. And I've had experience with that too, but I'd like to, yours is more current. What do you find happens with the bowls
Yes.
with kids?
So I just, last few years before COVID hit, kind of threw everything off. But, I started bringing in, I had one heart chakra bowl, which
Mhm.
was a crystal bowl.
Mhm.
And then I thought better of it just because our kids are pretty
Yeah.
active.
Yes.
I work with students that are 18 to 22.
Okay.
So, but I brought in a Tibetan bowl,
Mhm.
and they just love it. The hands go up. It's hard to get our kids to raise their hand or say, I want to turn, but
Yeah.
boy, I bring that bowl in, and they love it.
Oh, that is so
And
cool. It's almost like the ancient monks know how to talk to the essence of
yes,
people
yeah,
that are not inundated with normal world stuff.
right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that happened when I'm with my kids a lot, I just, a lot of our kids don't speak, and
Mhm.
they have pretty severe autism. And I always think, give me just 5 minutes in their brain so I know how they process, I know what they need, I know what they see, so
Yeah.
that I can, it's hard to know how to help sometimes. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I got to in the early days of returning to Texas with a bunch of heavy metal known as bowls,
oh,
work with
I thought you meant like heavy metal.
I did heavy metal. I can carry this stuff. Heavy metal. Hey, so if I could figure out how to play Pink Floyd on today's world, I'd be the first one doing it. That was my high school. Um, um, I got to work with a woman who ran a school for very young autistic children, and none of them spoke. None of them spoke. So, and it wasn't about having them play the bowls, it was offering them the sound and the prayer through the bowls. And it was amazing because, this was I think there were 22 kids in this school, and I would play for the whole group.
Wow.
And there is something very magical about that particular sound
Yes.
with that particular audience. And I'll never forget it. It was wonderful. It's really cool. And
Yes.
then I had the opportunity a number of years later to work with a less severely autistic adult. This was actually really funny for me anyway, who could give feedback on all the
Yeah.
bowls. And the big, deep Jambati big ones, he absolutely loved those. The shrill, high pitched ones, he would just be
Wow.
like, get those away from me. He didn't like that sound.
Yeah.
And we talked at length about how sound affected him. And the funny part of it was after the session was over and I just sat and thought about it, I'm like, I've had autistic hearing my entire life and never knew it, because sound is so magnified for me. I mean, it's no wonder I'm a sound healer and I release
Yes.
energy through sound. But, it was how I will go scan and listen to the world, and I do this in nature. It's a shamanic meditation of just sort of position and then turn my head or go walking and just hear whatever is going on and changes. And if sounds are extremely dissonant, like the reason I don't live in big cities,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to be around it until I started
Absolutely.
playing the bowls. And then my intention was very much like the movie August Rush, turn it into a symphony. See if I can turn these sounds into a symphony, into
Yes.
music, which
Yes.
works. So yeah, it's an interesting population. I really enjoy
Very much.
working
Yes.
with that.
And they do. It is difficult. For them, nothing is able to be filtered.
Yeah,
So everything just comes at you.
yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, this sounds like an empath. I mean, there's
Right.
many of us
Right. An
you
empath
out
where you can't learn to turn it, you can't train yourself to turn it off, right?
Yeah, I was working on a session earlier, and I'm an empath, and I'm also a medical empath. So I'll start feeling things and coughing and doing, all this stuff through my body, going, "What's going on with that part of your body?" Because I'm feeling it in mine. It's a handy skill to have.
Yes.
I used to take it personally. It's like, oh, this isn't me. That's you. So yeah, it's an interesting way of doing empath, and I've just gotten to the point where it's like, well, that's what I do. That's part of why I came here, to be able to be a cosmic empath for people without judgment. So you came here to help younger people and women.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. It's what it feels like. I started out my private practice,
Hmm.
that is just, families, children, adults, just kind of general, and just kind
Hmm.
of over time,
Hmm.
the adolescent population seemed to be my most uh, the majority of my practice, and that and my older folks, so like my Medicare care age folks, were
Oh,
the two areas that just I would just continually
how
find
interesting.
myself working with the most.
So when you look at the teenagers now, because I never had kids, so I can't relate. There's
Mhm.
none of them in my lineage to relate to. What do you see about the way they are? I have heard that, yes, they have a harder time, and part of that is because they're very wide awake and
Yes.
see through the facade a lot. Is that true? I mean, this is what I hear.
Yes, but at the same time, they get so shut down. I mean, I think they have that truth, but at the same time, they get so shut down by society, by parents, by schools, by everything around them, that it's really difficult for them, and that's a struggle to be looking and knowing one thing is true, and being told no.
No, it's not. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very difficult. And I think also, you know kids are just being taught and trained so differently. I had a kid tell me one time that not that long ago, that there really wasn't such a thing as truth. It's all just facts, or not, just perceptions of facts. And so, with the world as it is now, it's so difficult for kids to even know a standard truth, a fact that's an actual fact. Do you know what I mean?
right,
Things are
right.
so polarized and so difficult that, this world that they're supposed to figure out is,
Yeah,
it's tough for them. And I think, along with all the fear of what's going to happen today. Am I going to get shot at school? Am I going to, you know what I mean? There's just so much for them to manage. And
right.
not only that, but, make sure your AP classes are perfect, and make sure this, that, and the other. But what I found,
Right.
and one of the reasons I created Spark, was, that internal work. It's just been set to the side. How
Yeah,
do I manage anger? How do I, self reflect? How do I work on my self
yeah.
esteem? How do I, address things without being judged,
Mhm.
without being told how or what, to just figure it out for my own being.
Wow.
There's just not a lot of places
Yeah,
for that. So I, thought, I'm going to create a really safe space where people can go and have fun and create and reflect, and there's a part that's called Be Well, so a whole section of like meditation and things like that. And
mhm,
just come in and use what they use, and make use of whatever, because that those reflection pieces don't seem to exist in society that much
yeah.
anymore.
Well, back in my early days of being trained in the therapy I was trained in psychodrama,
Hmm.
a lot of family systems therapy, and it was always that population of kids that was blamed for anything going on in the family.
Absolutely.
You know,
100%.
it was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, if you guys are on the Facebook feed, I have lost it. Let me see if I can find it. Went away. Okay, there we go. I think we're back now. Little
But
technical difficulties. So yeah, so I mean there are times the TikTok is the platform. I went onto that kicking and screaming a big no. And one of my sound healer friends in Houston is like, Jodi, you'll laugh. This is right in the middle of 2020. We all need to laugh,
right.
and I'm like, okay, fine. and and I don't show myself. I play music or film hummingbirds in nature. That's all I do. That's
Right.
the extent of my comfort zone on TikTok.
On TikTok. Yeah.
And don't use my name or any of that stuff.
Hmm.
And what I noticed, because everything was nature, hummingbirds, music, the stuff that I love in life. And what I noticed were the people that followed me were the younger population. And many of them were computer gamer types.
Okay.
And
Yep.
and I'm looking at that going, I have nothing to do with what? you know?
But you know what? That truth and that beauty that
Yeah.
is a hummingbird, kids crave that, because when you look out there, it just doesn't exist in this world. What the things they're being told and that they experience on a daily basis.
Well, and that's what I finally realized. It's like I am bringing them the gift of nature
Yeah.
in a different way. And somebody was saying all they got on TikTok was weird stuff. And I'm like, man, I have people doing what I do. They're filming nature, they're adding music. And it's just like, thank you. Ooh, I get to see Utah. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I stuck it out because it is such a gift to have people of all ages, whether I can relate to them or not. And
Right.
and know that my offering of just my view of nature supports them. It's
Yeah.
very cool. But yeah, it was, but I have seen the young ones on TikTok. I mean, some of the things these kids talk about. And I'm like, we got hope on this planet with these kind of kids running around.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
amazing. Hi, Roland, is it Roland or Rolande? I don't know how to pronounce your name.
And I think to support that hope, like that's another reason I started, like just having a space to go and be hopeful,
Yes,
I
yeah,
think is really because they've got it. These kids, oh my God, it's
they're
something to
brilliant.
experience.
They're
Just
brilliant.
they're going to pull us through, I think, all the crazy. But boy, is that a big, thing to ask.
Yeah, to think we left that. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, come on, adults, let's step up and be accountable for the
right.
world we have co-created.
Yeah.
so, so, you're working in the school system
Hmm.
right now, and that's something you're going to shift.
We'll see. You know, I closed my private practice after 12 years, I think, this year.
Okay, that's what you closed. I knew you closed
Yes.
something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I closed that just to give myself time to, try this new platform and see, just put something out there that's a little different. Standard therapy is
Mhm.
very, very different from what I'm doing now. And,
Yeah.
you know, people come in and it's just a way to put a lot more material out there that might be useful for somebody, and people that are drawn to it are going to want to do the work. A lot of, I know we've talked about this before, waving the magic wand. I can't wave the magic wand and make all your problems go away. So if you really are want to do the work, and some people, a lot of people do, they
Yeah.
come in and have done amazing things, but
Yeah.
there's plenty of people that come in with a perception that you're going to fix everything. And so I just thought, what's another way I can bring joy, I can bring
Mhm.
creativity, I can
Yeah.
open a safe space to have access to all kinds of things you may have not seen or heard before, and
Yeah.
you can just explore
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
find the things that work for you, and then it's your responsibility to do them.
Yes.
And so that was one of the motivations for
Yeah.
coming up with Spark.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah, I find the same thing in the work I do in the shamanic work and the sound work is an a request, of
Hmm.
fix me thing.
Right.
And my and I can read that, like a book when I feel the frequency.
Hmm.
And my comment is always, if you want me to fix you, you are assuming that I hold you as broken, and I don't.
Right. Absolutely.
That doesn't help anybody heal. I don't care what's going on with the person. My job is to hold them in the highest expression of who they are.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that usually comes with daily sacred practices and repetition. I mean, in this
Yes.
3D world, we don't have magic wands. you know?
Right. And we don't want them. I mean, part of this is being on this planet is experiencing that work and learning those practices and learning to hold them sacred.
Well, and having the memories of where I came from, which is a dimension of the Hathor part of me, came from a dimension that is in oneness. And when there is something off balance, there is the magic wand and the immediate shift.
Mhm.
And I remember that. And I have been very frustrated in this lifetime to not be able to do that, to not be
Mhm.
able to just shift suffering out of the equation. And it's like, well, that's playing God, and that's none of my business to begin
Right,
with,
right, right.
But
Exactly.
yeah, it's like, if I could, I would. And
Mhm.
they haven't given me back those memories yet.
Wow.
And all of my teachers, whether it was Zen or shamanic, it was based in daily practices,
Mhm.
daily commitment to paying attention, slowing down, being sacred, and making everything sacred. And I'm so grateful I learned that way.
Yes.
It's not. I did not learn from, ooh, let me go buy 10 books on shamanism and I'll figure it out. It was like, I'm going to sit under this 100 or 300-year-old oak tree and talk to this guy for the next week and ask questions and be
Mhm.
scared to death because he's fierce. This was my first teacher. And then just, like, is he going to kill me or what? Um, that's how I learned the
Yeah.
daily sacred commitment to practices, to nature, to paying attention.
Yes.
And the Zen order was the same way. Pay attention, be here now. So,
And it's a tremendous gift to offer people, and
mhm,
to
mhm, mhm.
figure out how to share that, as opposed to, and one of the difficult things, back to teenagers,
Yeah,
and not being broken. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you, But when the parents drag them in, fix this kid,
yeah,
that assumes something's wrong with them,
yes,
and
yeah,
it's so difficult, and they have no autonomy. That's the
mhm,
other reason I feel like I was just called to these kids, because they don't get their own voice a lot of the time. So, it's important to know you do have a voice. I hear that voice. I
yeah,
want you to hear it too.
yeah,
And, I want you to figure out what that voice is.
yeah,
It's important, and to be able to, help them figure out what that is, where it is, and, have places to explore it, and to know that's okay.
yeah. Well, it's giving, I mean, I look at a lot of therapeutic and healing work as creating the safe container for sacred listening
Absolutely.
because especially the younger people are not
Mhm.
listened to a
No,
lot. You know,
nope.
oh, you're too young to know anything. And I'm like, I'd rather learn from the kids. you know,
Yeah. Yep.
seriously. There's wisdom in those youngsters.
Yes, and their hearts are more open.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Mhm.
cool. It's neat. I have done inner child work with people for over 30 years. And it was funny in the beginning because it's like, I had somebody who was a remote viewer for the military. It was funny. She's looking at me one day and she's going, you're going to be working with hundreds, if not thousands of kids. And I'm looking at her going, say, what? That doesn't resonate at all.
Wow.
And it probably took me 20 years to go, oh, the inner kids count.
Oh. Yeah.
Like, huh. Because it is
Wow.
in the healing work, it's giving the sacred space to say, yeah, go express yourself.
Yeah. And permission, and not permission from me, just permission.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, People don't give that to themselves.
Oh,
You offer somebody that opportunity in a session, and they look like, oh, I can do that. It's like, I didn't say, it's not coming from me. It's okay.
so I've got a question because this is something I've run into in my healing practice.
Mhm.
In the beginning days of my work, I was in Texas, Austin, and Wimberley, and it was an absolutely fantastic time to sober up and get into 12 steps and get into therapy. And we were doing really cool work, very emotive, honoring of feelings kind of work. And I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years in, I ran away from Texas. Finally, I escaped. I escaped. And I went to a mountain in Southern California for 3 months. And 10 years later, I left because my Lakota teacher was yelling at me to come down off the damn mountain and get back to work because they,
Get back to work.
yeah, and I'm just like, God, no,
No
I don't want to
escape,
be,
Jody.
you know, I want to be with the trees. We didn't have the internet back then. Um, and I came back to Texas ultimately with the bowls.
Mhm.
And I'm listening to what people are saying at then, and then was 15, 16 years ago. And a theme that I have heard from the younger people I've worked with is if I have any anger, if I have any fear, any of the negative emotions, which they were not labeled negative emotions when I was trained,
Mhm.
I will never ascend.
Wow.
I'm looking at people going, whoa, who told you this?
Wow.
The Pleiadians say the only dang reason we come to this planet is to feel emotions and have sex. I mean, let's get real. So, do you run into that at all?
No.
This judgment on how feelings are supposed to be?
No. Oh my goodness.
It just
It's
floors
dangerous
me. Yeah, you tell
because
me about it.
you put that much of yourself in shadow, you're gonna be
Right
really
there.
struggling.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have seen that in Texas more than any place else. This whole I'm working really hard to be enlightened and I cannot have
Yeah.
anger, and I'm like,
You know,
anger is a fuel
yeah,
for
that
change.
right. That reminds me of like a Doreen Virtue type. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I
Okay.
do, I
She
do.
only was unicorns and rainbows and no, everything had to be positive. And I
Right.
thought everything is not positive. You are allowed to be angry. You are
Mhm,
allowed to
mhm.
have all your feelings. And
Yeah.
for your own health and wellness, you need to have all your
Yeah.
feelings and
Well,
learn to express them all.
and I remember at one point sitting down and asking a friend of mine who is a therapist in Texas, I'm like, "Okay, what happened while I was up on that mountain? What happened to therapy in Texas?"
Mm.
Now it used to be emotional release and, experiential and psychodrama, fun stuff. It was hard, but fun.
What year was when were you on the mountain?
Oh God, I don't know. I got to Texas 16 years ago, whatever. I don't have keep. I've had too many near deaths in between. So I think I asked her this question about 15 years ago, somewhere
Okay.
in there, and I'm asking what happened.
Yeah.
And what she said was people started suing therapists,
Oy.
and they went from emotional release work and honoring emotions to talk therapy.
Mm.
And it was just like, I'm going to go play bowls now because that's a good way to do emotional release. I mean,
Mm.
it was fascinating, to just go, but these people are running around thinking most of the emotions they have are horrible and bad. And yeah, it goes right
Mm.
into shadow. I just wonder, I
Yeah.
guess maybe it is geographical. I don't know. It
Yeah, I
floored me.
don't I'm outside Chicago. I think things are just evolving.
Yeah.
I think there were kind of 70s, 80s, 90s, there was a lot of the really intense,
Hmm.
more psychodrama stuff. And then we kind of moved into, cognitive behavioral more
Hmm.
strongly and just a handful of different modalities that were less, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
interactive. But I still, you still have to honor all your emotions and learn
Yeah.
how you experience them and,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
and find the gold in them.
yes.
That's the thing I was taught very early on, that something I would experience as a non-supportive emotion. I'm not going to use the word negative because that just, you know, just something I would experience as harming me if I overexpressed it.
Mhm.
Once I mined that shadow for gold and
Right.
got the lesson out of it, then it becomes a power, an energy that can fuel growth rather
Hmm.
than take me down. And
Right.
I mean, that's how I do my work. Okay,
Yeah.
you got an angry inner child, let that one have voice
Right.
safely, not at everybody out there, but within a container.
Right. Absolutely. In the container and then out in the world, eventually, that strength, that energy, that power of that, can that be fuel you to stand up in front of a crowd of people and explain something really well? Can it fuel you to, be in a tough negotiation? Can it fuel you to a million different things that
Yeah.
are, helpful, useful,
Yeah.
wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful skills,
Yeah.
but you put it in shadow and squish it down, it's going to turn into something, more not perverse, but you know what I mean? Not
Comes out
necessarily.
sideways and it comes out in projections, and
Yes.
I mean, that's what I've seen in myself
Yes.
in my early days and in other people.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't see this, in each other.
Right.
We just sort of like the talk and the walk don't quite match.
Yeah.
What I see.
Yes.
So one of the questions I have in that list that's sitting in the other room over there somewhere. I know, God, I'll get organized yet with all this change. Um, is a conversation on alchemy being the energy of turning lead into gold, and for me, shadow work is the energy of turning shadow into gold.
Hmm.
So, how does that show up in your own life?
Oh, so I would say recently,
Mhm.
um, I and this is one area that I really strongly use oracle decks and things like that. Like when I do my shadow work, it's so fun to use those oracle decks and
Mhm.
to look at different pieces of yourself and to really delve in. Um, so that is one way I do shadow work.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and another way is journaling and just going back through old experiences. But the oracle stuff is way more fun. I actually just I'm going to do a whole shadow section on Spark about journaling and shadow work and what is shadow and
Good. Good. Yay. Yeah.
yeah.
It's we've only done one. We need to do more. Gail and I,
Yes.
Gail and I, and a bunch of mouthy Hathors got together. It's mostly the mouthy Hathors, and did something called Oracle Harmonies, which is Oracle cards and music, and and it's something that we do in the groups that I run. All my women's groups always have cards, and I really noticed this yesterday because I have two of the women's groups, and what I see, and this is the magic of running groups. This is what I have loved about group running for over 30 years is whoever shows up in that group on that day, there's a divine appointment to co-create a transformation together, even if we think we're just coming in for our own purposes. And in both groups we did oracle cards first. And I was in the first group, I was pulling the cards for them as they were checking in, which was real. So they didn't even know what the card was. And then the second group, I think we pulled first and then checked in. And the weaving of the synchronicities and the co-creation were so evident.
Yes.
And these are the first two groups I've run since the turn of the year and the shift of some energy. And I'm like, ooh, something big changed. We actually are weaving together, even though our cards look totally unrelated.
Yeah.
And that was really neat to
That
see.
was fascinating.
Yeah, because you were in one of them. It was just like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
and then I
awesome.
could also see the weaving of the morning group and the afternoon group. It's like, oh my God, there's a theme going on, of growth and change.
Yes.
So, and I know you and I have a somewhat of a minor affliction for the amount of decks we own.
Yes. I just did a video on the 2022 poll, just on how to journal through. And I was like in the choose your deck section, I was just filming through my decks while I was talking. And I'm like, I have to stop. It's just, but the art is so inspiring and all the archetypal messages.
Oh
And oh
my
my God, decks have
God.
come a million miles from where they
They're
were.
amazing.
I've
The
been.
art, the artistry of these decks
Yes.
is
Oh my God. It's
amazing.
so inspiring and
It
gives you
is.
so much to work with,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
terms of self reflection. They're just
Yes.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah. I
absolutely.
because of the sewage blowout downstairs.
Yeah. I'm so glad your decks weren't ruined or harmed or,
No,
oh,
a lot of them were down there in a back room, and I have to get everything out of the downstairs so they can, redo the flooring, et cetera, et cetera. Hi, Maria. And I'm sitting there like I don't know where to put them. I have to bring all the gongs, all the bowls, all the instruments, and all the decks upstairs. I'm just like I'm gonna have decks all over. I'm telling Carrie, okay, they're gonna be all over the house. It'll be like an Easter egg hunt. Let's go for it. Fine.
yeah.
I'm gonna hide them all over the place because I don't know where to put them.
Oh my gosh.
I thought I'll keep half downstairs and half upstairs and work in both places. No, they're all coming up here. I'll put them under the massage table with the bowls where we'll have
But
lots.
it's great. Like I have recently built shelves in my bedroom and in places where I just normally am so
Yeah,
that I can see them all and be with them all the time because there's such an inspiration,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there's
I
like a
like
little
yeah.
world in each deck,
And when I was on that mountain,
Yeah, I want
my
to hear more about that. I'm
God,
getting my tea.
when I was on the mountain, Idlewild, I mean, it was crystalline, a crystal mountain like the place I live now, which is all crystals. And one of the interesting things about living on top of crystals of any type is they will magnify whatever you bring with you when you move
Right.
there.
Right.
And as one of my friends on the mountain used to say, yeah, everybody comes up here, because this is a mountain above Palm Springs in LA, and it's way out of the city. And he goes, everybody moves here thinking it's going to solve their problems. No, it's just going to show you exactly what you got to
Yeah.
do.
So now we got a bunch of negative Nellies up here
Oh,
causing all
just
kinds of hell.
concentration shadow work. That's what crystals do. Um, and I was asked by my Malvi ones to design an oracle deck. I didn't even know they were called oracle cards. Back then, we didn't have computers or any of this stuff, but design a deck. And I completely forgot that I have 20 cards done until I
Nice.
moved up here. And the reason I stopped was because I had no art. I had no ability to do the beautiful drawings, et cetera, et cetera. And I found the cards, what I had channeled already, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh my God, I've got thousands of photographs now. I have the art, so
Nice.
yay, I can continue the project. Yeah, I don't understand tarot yet. I love watching all of you who know how to pull tarot. I think it's fascinating. I like oracle, and I have tarot cards,
Mhm.
but I like the oracle decks. They're just really cool. They're really
Yeah.
cool.
I
So,
started with tarot
did
probably
you?
back in the 80s when I was in high school. Yeah.
We're not the
So
only one.
honestly, thank God, public library. That's where I found my first. I think I found Vicky Noble and a few others, and
Wow.
I was like, "What's going on here?" I lived at the library, so I just was like, "What's up with?" And then the journey just starts.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah,
yeah, just kept studying, reading.
yeah. When I teach any version of, oh no, his apartment was on fire.
Oh
Oh no,
no,
oh no, Jeffrey Ripe Colored Tarot. Does that mean we have to mail him some of our leftover decks?
oh
Or
no!
we can
Is
get
it happening now?
Yeah, Sharon, tell us more, please. I don't
Oh
know
my
who that is,
goodness!
but yeah, support for him.
Should we say a little? We'll have to when we end. We'll say a little prayer and we'll
Yeah.
send a little sound to him.
Well, and we can, the thing that I love about the reader community that I have backed into somehow as a weird sound healer
Hmm.
is the support that
Yes.
is given to each other is immense.
Yes.
So if he needs decks, I would imagine all of us can part with one. I just
Yes.
need an address.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. I don't even know
Oh,
what I was going to say. 2 days ago. Oh my God, that's
oh
horrible.
goodness.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, it's only things, but it's like, well, when it's your livelihood and
Yeah.
it's your sacred art, which
Absolutely.
decks are, that's hard. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Thank you,
Oh,
Sharon, for saying, if you have any contact information on him, or if he has a GoFundMe or something, can you post it in the stream? 'Cause I'll go find him on YouTube if he's on there. Good grief.
oh.
Yeah, it's been an interesting start to the year.
Yes, it has. It's been an absolutely crazy start to the year.
Just like, okay,
Boy, we
let's put the
think
calm
we
down.
thought, oh, good, let's get rid of that mean old 2021, and here we go. Fasten your seatbelts. It's 2022, folks.
Really?
My
So
God.
Elijah, is he on YouTube so we can find him if we just search for Jeffrey Right Color Tarot? Is that how we'll find him? Because that's that. I mean, I just can imagine if anything had happened to my gongs downstairs when
Yes.
what happened, I'd be devastated.
Yep.
Boy, somehow all those giant heavy metals. He rescued his textiles in a computer. Oh my God!
Oh,
Yikes! Bright color. Okay, we can look him up. I will do that when we get off.
yep.
Ay ay ay. Ay 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 ay. I'm so sorry. That's
Mm,
hard. That is a hard way to start the year.
yes. Talk about
Definitely.
trial by fire. I mean, not just fire, but I mean the phoenix from the flame kind of thing. It's when you're that pile of ash, it's hard.
Well, and I hear people. I've heard a lot of people in the last couple of months talk about my sign and others rising from the ashes as the phoenix, and I'm like, yeah, but none of you talk about the burning the ass
Right,
down part of
right,
this.
right.
It's
Exactly,
like I have not heard anybody
exactly.
talk about the burning down it takes to
Right.
be able to rise from the fire with the ashes.
Yep. It's
Okay, good.
painful.
It's, yeah, I've been in it. I mean, that's been my whole last year, was the burning down so that I can come out of the ashes, and I'm like, is it time yet?
Yeah, right. Are we ready?
I
Come
mean,
on.
man,
Can
I'm
we
living
come
by a
out?
lake so I can put out the fire, but is it time yet?
Yeah.
So is Jeffrey the one that works with Nancy Jean's garden? Maybe I have seen him. It's really cool if it's who I'm thinking of. Oh no. Okay, I'll look it up when I get off. Ay, 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 ay.
Mm.
So you're coming down here to visit in a while
Yes, I am.
with a friend of yours that I just saw on a video for the first time today. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
this is gonna be way too much fun.
Yep. We're gonna have a blast. Yes. So excited.
Yeah, we may actually, get me out of the house to go crystal mining because it'll be cool enough.
We're gonna crystal mine. Uh.
You will see when you get to my house that I have absolutely no business getting any more crystals. 'Cause like, I have a few. I think I have more of those than I have oracle decks.
Oh boy. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I'm a bit of a collector too of crystals.
Yeah.
But it's in the thought of digging them is very exciting to me. Like just seeing what happens.
Well, it's the story I have about the mine that we'll go to, which is the only thing I have ever done in Arkansas before I moved up here 35 years later.
Wow.
Um, it had been pouring down rain. It was cold. I mean, must have been spring up here,
Mhm.
and there's just red mud everywhere, and
Yeah.
you mine in the slag pile. Basically,
Right.
they mine the good stuff and throw the rest in a pile, and that's where we get to go after we pay money to get in. And we're all out there, and everybody's frustrated because nobody's finding anything, and it's cold and wet and muddy. Our inner children were not participating in this fun. Mine were a little pissy, and one young boy was doing the 50 question thing to the parents, and the parents were just like, would you just go up there and leave us alone? So he goes up to an upper slag pile that had already been mined, and there's 20 adults just digging for these itty bitty little crystals, and all of a sudden this kid holds up this crystal. Is this any good? He's got a double terminated point about this
Oh,
long, and he's whole, and he's I mean he's genuinely wants to know if it's even worth bringing it down,
wow.
and we're all just looking at this kid going, Oh, looking at his parents, like karmic return, you
Yeah.
guys. And it was interesting because I never, when you get them out of the red mud, the iron oxide, to get them clear, you have to put them in an acid bath. I never
Oh,
did, ever. And I still have some of those. A lot of them have been planted with trees around the country when I go to trees.
nice.
And I gave somebody one of them. Yeah, the child, I mean, it was so cool. I gave somebody one of them because he was acid bathing some that he had mined up here. And he brought it back to me clear and beautiful. And I looked at it and I'm like, it's ruined.
Oh,
I had known it for over 30 years with this beautiful red color on it. And it was just
right.
like, I will,
Yeah.
and the rest of them are going, you're not doing this to us, Art. I know, you guys stay with the iron on you. It was so funny. It was
Oh,
funny. But yeah, there were some really interesting crystals from that mine back then because many of them were curved. The points have a
interesting.
curve to them,
Hmm.
which is interesting. You have red dirt. You've got red dirt crystals from Arkansas in Hawaii. No wonder I like you so much. I have so many Arkansas crystals that I have acquired and been gifted over the years. And one of them was a medicine wheel of crystals that was on an elder's meditation room floor for 20 years.
Wow.
And when she went into assisted living, she called a mutual friend and said, I need somebody who can steward this wheel. And
Oh,
that person gave her my name. And I
wow.
got the wheel and the responsibility.
What? Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's not in a circle anymore. It's in the spiral. We don't have the room for that. Um, when I was telling my crystals in Texas that we were going to be moving home. Or no, I told them we were moving to Arkansas. I was researching Arkansas,
Right.
and they all started singing and chanting that they were going home.
Oh,
And I'm like, do I have to go bury you again? And they're like, no, idiot. You're bringing us back to where we came. They're like, man, you humans are really dead. I
I get
don't
that a
know
lot.
anything. I'm like, there's
Like,
something.
duh. No, we need to go heavy with this one. She just doesn't get it.
I'm like, I mean, if you tell me to bury you, I will, but do I really have? It was hysterical. They are all in the sunroom in the living
Oh,
room.
I've
That's
seen
where
a
they
few
live.
pictures.
Yeah, they
Oh,
live
God.
there, and they are just
Gorgeous.
with my Lemurians, and they're just like, yeah, this is home. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh,
You brought them there after digging them up where we are. That is so cool.
wow.
Such a small world.
Yes.
Such a small world.
I love
So,
it. And I love that the internet allows us to make it in some ways smaller.
you
I wouldn't
know,
have met you if there was no YouTube.
I know. I started this before any of this technology, what I do for a living, basically. And I am so grateful for the
Yes.
internet.
Yes.
So grateful. And I'm grateful that I learned how to do the sound over Zoom 2 years before
Yes.
we got locked down. It's like, thank you. Um, but yeah, my friendship with the people I love has expanded a lot
Yes.
since yeah, it's different. It's different now.
Mhm.
It's different. So,
Mm.
what do you want to say in closing before I close us out with a prayer for Jeffrey through some music? Colorado. Yeah, I've got some Colorado stones with me. I was there for about 3 months. So, Gail, how would you like to close this? And what do you want to leave this beautiful community with as a blessing? And then I'll play some music.
Oh, I think just be open and just every step is a necessary step, you know, and don't judge and just give love. Give as much love as you can.
Yeah, thank you. And do you have anything coming up on YouTube
Um,
to talk about?
no, not right now.
Okay. Yeah, I do this every Sunday. Um, I have a whole bunch of stuff coming up in my business
Right,
I'm teaching on,
right.
including being around all of you guys for the last 6 months. Um, this is actually really funny. Somebody purchased a few tracks from me and prepaid for a workshop I did not have scheduled. Yo, you know I don't have that on the calendar. She goes, yeah, no. Okay, so basically I get to put it on the calendar. She goes, thank you, you sacred instigator. And what I've done is I've created a group every other Wednesday night, 6:30 to 8:30 Central Time, that is going to be anything and everything shamanic sound healing. Any questions
Nice.
anybody has, I mean, anything. It's going to be structured like all my women's groups in the same price. And we are going to be working on sound. And I am going to structure it the way all my teachers taught me with you bring questions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk
Nice.
at you. You can bring me questions and then we'll play. So that starts February 2nd. I'm finally starting it. It's like, I'm like, thank you so much. I never would have had that birth if I hadn't have had somebody go, here, I paid for it. Here's my $35. Go do something. So I've got a lot
Yes.
of stuff like that on my community
Awesome.
page.
Yeah, I'm just doing weekly uploads on the
Yeah,
YouTube.
on your,
So
okay,
there's a
good.
a video a week and
And we will get
a lot of
our
going on.
act together and do another Oracle harmonies.
Yes, another Oracle harmonies. I have to load those onto my website too. I forgot about that. But yeah, well,
Well,
but
thank
those are fun.
They are fun. Okay, I'm going to play us out, and
Awesome.
I'm gonna broadcast this for Jeffrey. Let me change cameras and change audio. Boop. Okay, and the bowls that I'm playing, interestingly enough, are a bunch of second chakra manifestation bowls with some embellishment on the side. So we're going to start with great grandfather so that Jeffrey receives everything and more to recover as much as he can with the money piece. And also for the power that he needs to keep going. So just broadcast that on his behalf. So I would like to thank all of you who are here and all of you who watch this later for joining us, for playing with us, for whatever you get from this. And I very much appreciate that. This goofy idea the Hathors had has really been fun. I mean, I'm the kind, okay, this is really going to date me. Back in the early days of business, Johnny, there was a public speaking training called the Dale Carnegie training. And for the time, it was extremely expensive. And if I hadn't paid extremely expensive money for it, they would have flunked me. I could not get up and speak in front of people if it meant my life. And I look at the fact that I am willingly getting on YouTube and talking. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, maybe it worked. It just took 40 years to sink
Yep.
because no, no, no. So, thank you for coming and playing with me. Thank you.
Awesome.
And thank
Thank you
you
for
all out
inviting.
there for
Yes.
doing the same thing. And Johnny, I will see. Oh, I'll see a lot of you. Johnny, I'll see you later on your channel. Johnny has Johnny and Jen Lynn and Becca. I don't know if you have anybody else. Eliza knows this too. I'll tell you, we've all come a long way. Um, okay, let me see what time. 7 o'clock Central, I believe, Johnny, is when you guys do your fun on Sunday. Most of you already know that. That's watching, so I'm preaching to the choir here. Ooh, there's somebody we have to get rid of. I found it. Block. I could do a wrench on my own dang thing. Oh, somebody beat me to it, didn't you?
Yay. Oh my God, the troll slayers are awesome. Thank goodness. Boy, people are something else.
I tell ya. I know it's funny. I usually end up blocking people I shouldn't be blocking because
Go see them.
I'm on my phone and my fingers slipping all over the place. Yeah, I blocked them for 5 minutes. Um, so I thank you. I thank you. I thank you.
Thank
I'm
you,
grateful
everybody.
for you being here, Gail, being in my life. I mean, you've been a gift. And all of you out there that, oh, you guys are all blocking them. Thank you. Yay, Johnny. Um, have a wonderful evening. I will see you next week. And I don't think he knows this. I have somebody who I know from the Dallas area. He moved to San Antonio for work, and I moved up here to Arkansas. And he is one of my favorite people to play gongs with. And I miss that. So he's coming on. He's a fantastic artist, and he works with veterans, and he's
Awesome.
just a cool dude. So I get to have David here. We all hit at the same time. Yeah, exactly. That's why I got an error message. Yeah, and if you could like my channel and go like Gail's channel, I will post it, and whatever the game is we play to get the algorithm up.
Right.
It is all a grand game. I would appreciate it. And I will see you all next week, if not later in Johnny's and Jen Lynn's and Becca's thing. So thank you,
Thank you,
thank
Jodi.
you. Bye.